We would like to acknowledge the Yagara people and the Turrbal people as the traditional custodians of Mianjin, the lands in which we record this podcast today. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Everyone, welcome to For the Health of Podcast, a Healthcare Australia podcast.
Made for healthcare professionals by nurses on the inside. My name is Jessica.
And I'm Xana, and we are HCAs Brand Ambassadors, and we are joined today with Robyn. Robyn is an international nurse. She has moved over here from the UK, but has a wealth of experience in many different countries. So please tell us all about you and how you got to this beautiful place we are now.
Thank you. Yeah, Australia is great.
Yeah.
Absolutely in love with Australia. Yeah, so started my nursing career in Manchester, was there for 3 years. Was getting a bit bored of my job there, just wanted to have an adventure really, and was on Facebook one day actually scrolling my feed. An advertisement came up for the recruitment agency. I'd gone for that, ended up getting a job in Abu Dhabi. So
wow.
Yeah, totally random. Just
sitting there on your lunch break like, yeah, I'm going to move to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, it was just like apply here, so I applied, and then like a few forms and like a telephone interview later, and I was moving over there. So I worked there for 4.5 years because I got stuck during COVID.
Wow.
Loved the sunshine in Abu Dhabi, loved the lifestyle, was like, I'm not going back to cold, rainy Manchester. So I hopped on over to Australia. And I love it here.
Yeah, 4.5 years, is a long time. Usually me and Jess had looked into moving to, Abu Dhabi or a different country in the Middle East before, and we were like kind of max a year was like the thinking we were going to have. But getting stuck, I guess, during COVID, you didn't have a choice. You really had to stay there, and there wasn't many options. So 4.5 years, that's a decent effort.
Yeah, no planes going anywhere, was there?
Wow.
The world was fully locked down. So yeah, hunkered down in Abu Dhabi.
Wow. Tell us more about that. Tell us about, I guess, like the transition from being in the UK, obviously like a very, westernized country. Everything is quite normal for us. And then you would have very stark transition culturally and environmentally as well. Tell us about how that was.
Yeah, it was definitely really tough. We always, especially when the new recruits would come, we'd always warn me, you're going to have your 3-month, your 6-month and your 9-month wobble. And I feel like that's kind of the same for people here in Australia. You're excited for the opportunity, you're all in, but then every now and again you kind of look outside the bubble and think about home and you get those wobbles. So definitely the first year in Abu Dhabi was the hardest, but it did get easier and more comfortable as that went on. And definitely that made it easier to then come to Australia because I was already willing to be within the moment and fully committed to the experience of being in Australia, which has helped.
Yeah.
Had Australia been on your mind that you wanted to come and nurse here from the beginning of your career, or did you make that decision when you were made that leap to go to Abu Dhabi?
So Australia, I think if you come from England, Australia is always the pipe dream. You hear about people having a better life and the work-life balance and the weather and the nature. So I think in the back of your head, a lot of people from England do want to be in Australia. But it wasn't something that I was fully cognizant that I wanted until maybe my second year in Abu Dhabi, when I was I just don't want to go back to the UK.
Fair enough. And so how was the process of coming over to Australia? Was it hard work? We hear things all the time because Xana and I are always on social media talking to all the internationals coming over, and it seems like quite a lengthy process. And with the APRA registration, tell us about all that.
Well, my experience was kind of a lot more hectic because I did it during COVID. Okay. I started my application in 2020. My passport only had about 8 months left on it, which I think you need longer than that to get the visa for Australia. So I had to apply for a brand new passport in the UK, which was supposed to take 6 weeks, ended up taking 3 months. I had no passport for 3 months in the Middle East. Was stuck there with that because the offices in England were closed with COVID. And then to get all of my documents notarized, to get all of my university transcripts during COVID when all the offices were on half staff was a lot more of an ordeal. And then the same in Australia, the offices here weren't fully staffed. So for me, it was definitely more of a hectic process. But if I can do it, then surely people can do it now, If you want something hard enough, you'll make whatever you have to do to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Do whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in Australia now for?
Almost a year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's my own little movie, rom-com movie, because I got here on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is
so
almost
I've
a
almost
year.
been
That's
here,
so
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have something planned for your year anniversary?
Probably just work.
Yeah.
That seems to be my theme. Just
Yeah.
work.
And did you move straight to Brisbane when you first came?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, after the Middle East, like I'm a bit of a sun seeker, so I definitely had to come to the Sunshine State, which is why I chose Queensland.
I mean, great choice.
100%.
But you've
great.
but you've also like done some contracts, or you've done a contract in rural and remote as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Yeah, so I took one of the surge contracts down in Lismore. I was there for 4 weeks, but it was amazing. I could have stayed for longer. The only reason I couldn't was because it was so popular with so many people also wanting to have the opportunity. But yeah, great hospital, great team. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with city folk, but definitely like you see the difference between country folk. They're so hospitable, so welcoming, so kind. Like, yeah.
I definitely notice that when I do contracts.
Yeah, definitely.
You've had quite a mix now. So you've been here for a year. You've done metro work, which is like the day-to-day shifts. You've been lucky enough to get some block booking contracts where you can do like 4, 6, 8 week kind of block bookings, which is so amazing. Both Xana and I have done that as well. And then you finally took that leap and did that rural remote contract. And I remember, like, tell us about your emotions, because I remember you were really nervous when you were first going on your contract, and you felt a little bit like alone, a bit isolated when you first got there because it was new.
Well, yeah. And I went during the holidays.
Yes.
So a lot of people had gone back to... So my friendship group that I've made here is predominantly like nurses with the HCA group. They'd gone back to the UK, or they were... visiting family that they have here in Australia. So I was like, I'm just going to go and like make some good money and take this contract. So yeah, I was there over the holidays. And I was a little bit nervous at the start to go down there. I was going to be on my own. I was in a motel on my own. I didn't have an Airbnb with a group of people like I know some other people have experienced. But like if you can get into your mindset that you're there to work, then it makes things a lot easier. Like if I was going to make friends or I was going to meet new people, that was just going to be an added bonus. But the first thing that I was going there for was to work and to provide support to the hospitals that were obviously short-staffed. So I was trying to have my mindset set to flexibility.
Yeah. And by the end of it, you actually end up really enjoying yourself, and you had a great experience.
Loved it. Yeah. I'm an ICU nurse. And then whilst I was there, I did get sent to the coronary care unit a couple of times because they were short-staffed, whereas the ICU was like fully staffed. And I did also go to the emergency department, which I have no experience in. But even going there, I was very well supported. I was made to feel part of the team. And actually, it was a really great learning experience. And from that, I actually would like to try new things a little bit more. Because I think with nursing, you get so set in what your job role is and the department that you work in. Whereas like with agency work, it's great that you can try other things in a safe environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
People do ask us a lot as well, because you can upskill when you're an agency nurse. And it's something like when you come in, you do have to have a set of skills before you can start, the journey of doing agency nursing, especially the travel nursing side. But the amount of skills I've learned over 5 years of doing R&R contracts, I've learned emergency, I've like expanded in my theatre, I've done corrections, and it just opens up so many doors. So now you've been able to do CCU and ED and have that exposure. And the more contracts you do, you can actually even get more exposed and learn so much. So I can't believe in just 4 weeks as well, you got to experience that. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And
Very
the
addictive.
team is so nice down there. Like,
Oh, that's so good.
yeah, loved it.
So good.
So what are the lows and highs that you feel with agency? Because a lot of people always ask us as well, they get scared about shift cancellations. Obviously the pros, is the money, the income. Like what have you found is kind of maybe the cons side of doing agency nursing?
So I think there's like the very simple aspect. If you don't work, you don't get paid. So
Yes.
if you get sick, you don't get paid. So you definitely have to be more focused on how you budget and be prepared for those things, because you don't want them to happen, but unfortunately they do. The cancellations can be quite annoying, but like I've always had quite positive experiences where I've either been rebooked for other places, or I've had my hours, instead of like an 8 hour, I'll do a 6 hour. So at least it's some work, which is nice.
Yes.
Other than that, there's not that many cons. Like I have actually really enjoyed it. And like you said, like I've been quite focused in if I needed to earn money because I had a trip planned or I had something that I wanted to spend on, then I would take those contracts. I would take those block bookings. I would put myself onto a surge contract and get continuous guaranteed work for that period of time. So I've actually only done, God, I can probably count on my hands and my toes how many like PRN shifts that I've actually done. A lot of them have been block bookings.
Yeah.
So good.
I mean, that's what we met. We met, you know, working at Greenslopes ICU.
We did.
Great place. But yeah, pretty much you worked your little butt off while you were there and then decided to have this giant break that you wouldn't be able to take if you had, you know, a normal 9-to-5 job or even just a shift working job at a hospital. You can't just take 6 or 8 weeks off and go travel the country. So you did this big road trip after that before doing your Royal and Remote contract. So where did you go?
I did so much last year. So I first got here in like the March. I worked 3 months at Greenslopes and then I took some time off. I went to Bali. Then I came back, picked up another 2-month contract at Greenslopes. Then I went to Fiji, which was insane. And then I came back. I think I was still in the Greenslopes contract, actually. I came back and then, from the middle of October to the end of November, I just stopped working, took 6-7 weeks off, rented a camper van from Cairns and went all the way down from Cairns, Cape Tribulation, actually, all the way down to Sydney in a camper van for 7 weeks.
That's amazing.
So good.
So good.
This is what we like to kind of show, you know, the audience is that you can design your life so much with doing agency work. You can sit there and you can look at your whole year and you can go, I'll do some metro work. We know if I want some more time off and then I can do some block booking work. Then I'll go away on a contract and then I'll come back and do that and I'll have some time off. And you're fully in control of doing all this. And there's like the pros of obviously doing agency is the income, as well as this flexibility as well. So I love that you're experiencing all this and it's not even been a year and look how much you have done.
Yeah, and the incentives that HCA offers as well. Like if you do like, I don't know if things are changing now, but if you can take those block bookings, sometimes there's like a accommodation allowance or there'll be an incentive towards what you're doing. So not only are you getting like continuous work, but then you're also getting like the incentives on top of that.
Yeah. We love incentives. We're all about rewards here. We spoke on... I'm not sure when this podcast will go out, but, so I can't say exactly. But like, you know, in the months of January to March 2023, we've got a rewards promotion where we're giving 2 $5,000 travel vouchers to our healthcare staff, which is amazing. It's going to be drawn on March 29th of 2023. So that's going to be super exciting for us to be like, here's a $5,000 voucher. Like you can have the most incredible holiday. We've got February and March huge promotions, which we can't speak about yet because it's still secret squirrel. But if you're on the social media accounts, the Instagram and the Facebook, you can see like HCA are always in the background creating incentives and rewards programs and ideas to like get you guys all excited and to reward you all, like even the gala dinners.
Yeah. This year's going to be very exciting. There's lots of things happening.
The time and the new uniforms. Are you excited for the new uniforms?
Can't wait for the
So
scrubs.
excited. So excited. I'm sure everyone has said about those purple.
Yes, I can't
polos.
wait to not be a student anymore or a physio, or anything. It's going to be so good to actually
or
just
pharmacy.
be a nurse.
I think you're pharmacy because we're wearing purple.
Yes.
No, I get Queensland physio all the time. We look like the students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's right. Xana and I, as the ambassadors, have changed the uniform.
We did it for you guys.
Honestly, the best thing you could have done.
Yeah.
That's right,
There's
everybody.
no pockets as well. How can you have like a nurse top with no pockets? That blows my mind.
There's
I
lots
know.
of pockets in the new
Yeah.
ones. Lots.
So many pockets.
You need.
So Xana and I have ordered the first batch.
Yes.
We're just going through some IT issues. But I'm sure once this podcast is out, you guys will already have access, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
Send in your feedback because we love hearing about it. Send us some selfies.
Yes.
We just love connecting with you guys. That would be so great.
What's happening for you this year? What have you got planned?
Oof, I have no idea.
Are you back in a block booking now? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to Greenslopes again at some point, I think probably in the next 2 weeks or so, and then get some more cash flow in and then probably book some more adventures. I did recently go for permanent residency because I just love Australia that much.
Yay.
So with that, my bridging visa said that I can't leave the country, so plenty of in-house Australia trips coming for sure.
You'll be able to do so much more though.
Yeah.
There's so much to do
good.
here.
And there is so much to do. And if you guys are a bit confused about the word Greenslopes, it's just a hospital here in Brisbane, but HCA actually partners with HealthScope as well as Ramsay Healthcare. We've got partners all over Australia. So we do have these incredible block booking opportunities as well as the government hospitals as well. So once you're onboarded with HCA and you tell your consultant what it is that you're after, what is that you want, because not everyone wants the same thing. Some people want to work once a fortnight, but some people like to design their life like we do and do lots of work and then go away for, 2 months. So you just tell your consultant what you like and what you want, and then they can go and, find these contracts for you, which is incredible.
Yeah.
We're obsessed with it.
And another thing, like, how to say this?
Just say it.
Like if you have your consultant that's going to help you find your shifts, and then you also have the consultants who are in charge of like the block bookings or the rural contracts. And what I've found really helps me is to have a good relationship with these people. Like I talk to my consultants as if we're friends. I think a lot of like mutual respect goes a long way, not as if we're trying to manipulate the system. Is probably not a good way of saying things, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, just be nice to people, because I know that in the consultancy side, you guys are all really busy. They're doing a lot of work, a lot of contracts. But at the same time, like my consultant, Erin, who's an absolute angel, she sent me a Christmas hamper because I was working on the rural contract during Christmas. Like just little touches like that, like they become like your friends.
Well, they think, we work with them in the office, and they really do think about all of you guys out there, and you know, all of the people that are on contracts. They really do care about every single one, and they make sure that you know, you feel valued, because there are so many on contract that it is hard to kind of keep track sometimes. And you know, people are waiting to get and do rural remote contracts because it's so popular and people really want to do it. So they really do appreciate everyone out there, and it's really nice that you can have that connection, because even when me and Jess were both doing rural and remote contracts, we had such a great relationship with our consultant. We'd just call her up if we were having a bad day. I mean, Jess called her about her dating life sometimes, they become your friends. You know, you're out in the middle of nowhere sometimes if you're not working in a metro area, and they become your like support system. So yeah, it's important to have that relationship. It's really good.
Especially if you're coming out here on your own and you don't know anybody at first.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely good to have that relationship with the agency, because they are your support network.
Definitely.
Do you feel like when you see another Healthcare Australia staff member on the floor and you see that you've both got the same uniform on, you just like give each other a look, and then all of a sudden you're like, we're best friends now?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Like when we were at Green Slopes, I was like, I was so nervous because I was the first one to start this block booking specifically at Green Slopes. And I was so nervous about it because I was like, no one understood this new role because it was a new block booking system. And then I think a couple of days later, Robyn showed up and I was like, oh my God, thank God there's someone else here. And then we just bonded. And every time you see them on the floor, even if it's just like a wave or just even a smile, it just makes you feel like you're not alone.
Yeah. You're like instant family like, all the time.
Definitely.
Like you're just kind of like, I got you, boo. Like if you need help, if you need a hand with a roll, or if your patient needs anything, I'm there for you.
Exactly. I'll show you where the 10 mil syringes live.
Yeah.
I'll give you the proper orientation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is where to park. Like, do you know all the the little hacks? Yeah. Oh, actually, talking about hacks. We were talking about this earlier.
Yes,
every episode, we love to get nursing hacks from everyone that we interview, because we just love it. It just helps us with our day-to-day life as well. Give us your nursing hack.
So the thing that I found that's bamboozled me the most being here in Australia.
Bamboozled. I love that.
The ECG dots that we would have on the ICU for the continuous ECG monitoring, it would be the traffic light system. So it would be the red, yellow, green, white, and then the black. Whereas here in Australia, the colours are all different. So they have the white goes above the green, snow above grass, and then the black is above the red, smoke above fire, and then the brown is in the middle to ground your heart. Yeah. And that's a little...
Oh, I like the brown. Like I like that saying.
Yeah, earth. Earth in the centre.
I love that.
And to you.
And you think about that as you're applying them, you're like, got to get it in my head.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely helps, especially for people who are new to ECGs. It does really help with the colouring system, because otherwise, it doesn't really make much sense.
It's a tangled mess, especially when you're really busy. You're like, oh my God.
And you just kind of expect things to be universal because it's healthcare. Like bodies are the same all over the world. So the little differences like that, they just throw you through a loop sometimes, and you just think, God, I know nothing. Yeah. But there's tips and hints wherever you go.
Yeah. And I think the difference with probably a major difference between UK and here is that the NHS is obviously such I guess basically it's the entire of healthcare over there. Whereas here there's so many different private places, public places, different states have different public systems. So literally every single facility you go to is different, and they do it different ways, and it's like none of it's the same. So it can be quite confusing.
Yeah, definitely. And like when you first get here, it is quite challenging and you do feel quite overwhelming. But when you're a couple of weeks and a couple of months into that, like the surge of confidence that it actually gives you, knowing that you are flexible, that even if you don't know, you still have like the potential to grow and to learn. I think you can feel quite overfaced by that. But then when you've done it and you look back, it feels so rewarding to know that actually like you've got this. Yeah. If you've got your core basic knowledge down for nursing, like you can work anywhere. You'll make it work.
Yeah.
Definitely flexible.
Love it. Oh. So no going back to UK anytime soon.
No.
We're keeping you.
Yeah. Permanent resident incoming.
I don't know if you'd want to work for the NHS after all these amazing things you're doing.
gosh.
The amount of money you're earning, and then I'm just going to take 7 weeks off and go traveling, and then I'll come back. Like, that's an amazing lifestyle.
I'm living the dream.
You are living the dream.
For sure.
I love it so much. Now, before we end the episode, we'd love if you can share with us a nursing story. So we call it a workplace wobble. Do you have any funny, silly,
embarrassing?
I mean,
Any story.
we say a lot of poo ones, but it's up to you.
Yeah, why is it the poo ones come straight into your brain?
Oh, we can't help it. It's a nursing thing, right? It's just like
That is always
it's
always the wild ones, so they always involve poo.
Gosh. I don't have anything prepared. Let me have a little think.
Anything that happened
They're
like
all
recently?
rather like nastiest. We were saying like, especially with the ICU, like it's never like sunshines and rainbows.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
I remember when I was a student actually back in the UK, and I worked in this hospital that did actually look like quite an old factory, and one of our patients on the respiratory ward, he had advanced dementia, so he would wander around up and down this hospital. It was like the old Nightingale ward, everything was open plan, so he'd wander up and down thinking it was his old factory mill that he was walking in, so he'd pull his pants up really high and he would always have his hair perfectly combed, marching around. I remember one time on the doctor's rounds, he'd started his walk, and as he's walking past us, he lets rip this massive fart, and we're all like, okay, fine, like he's just on his business, we'll just continue with the medical rounds. Next minute, he starts to poop as he's going, completely unaware, and just like footsteps all the way up.
Yeah, see, there's always a poo story.
Always a poo story.
Here he
And then
was thinking he
took
was...
him by the arm, was like, come on, we're going to go straight to the showers.
Yep.
He's like, I'm meant to be working
at
at the mill. I can't be going to have a shower right now.
Yeah, completely unaware though, bless him.
Aw,
Yes.
that's
We
a
always
good
do that, and
story.
you just like, and you're obviously in the middle of medical rounds, and you're just like, all right, carry on. Okay, now I need to tap out because I've got to go help this patient.
Yeah, and the doctors are completely unaware, and next minute we're all just like, the dirty
wow.
footprints going up the ward.
Yeah.
Bless him.
We've all been there.
Just another day.
Yeah.
Another day.
And with like the older generation, there's nothing you can't solve with a cup of tea and biscuits as well.
Exactly.
How many
love that.
issues I've resolved by being like, come on, Dal, sit down and have a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
shower first and then a cup of tea and a biscuit.
In that situation,
Definitely.
definitely.
Yes,
Definitely. Yeah.
We're pros at, a cup of teas and biscuits now. I actually get
yes.
so, like, warm and fuzzy inside when someone tells me I make a good cup of tea, because I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I've made about 1,000 of these, so I'm hoping it's good.
If nurses aren't good at a cup of tea or a coffee for a patient, like we really
Doing
need to-
something wrong.
We're doing something really wrong. Like we should be able to make the best cup of tea now.
Yeah.
Definitely
Oh,
being from England as well. Like I feel like I
Yeah.
can make a good cup of tea.
Yeah.
I do
You'd
have
make
the
best.
pommy tea badge on that one.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been such a delightful episode, and I think everyone's going to get something from this, like
Yeah.
especially internationals that wanting to move over to Australia. I think they're going to be so inspired by your life that you have designed here. It's absolutely incredible, and it's exactly what Xana and I do, and it's already inspiring me to do it more, and I'm
Yeah.
already doing it now, but I want to do it more.
Yeah, and like it is difficult, but like anything in life that you want is never going to come easy, and you just have to make sure that you put 110% into it and get the most out of the experience. And if you want to make it work, you will make it work. I think that's what I've learned from living in 3 different countries and nursing in 3 different countries.
Yeah.
I love that so
Love
much.
it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, Robyn.
Bye. Thank you.